Well, good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times. I'm Alan, the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast, and the TTT is my way of bringing you a little Middle-earth every single day. Now, if you want some longer or deeper content, check out the Prancing Pony podcast for close to 500 hours of free stuff exploring the Legendarium with years still to go. But here on today's Tolkien Times, let's wrap up our third week with Silmarillion Saturday. Now, these times are our chance to revisit those mythical moments and heroic histories and really captivating characters of the Elder Days, whether they're from the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, the history of Middle-earth, or more. Now, last week, we read about the creation of the Silmarils, and in honor of that, I'm wearing my Feanor Pinata t-shirt. Now, today, we'll read about their theft. After a time, a great concourse gathered about the Ring of Doom, and the Valar sat in shadow, for it was night. But the stars of Varda now glimmered overhead, and the air was clear, for the winds of Manwë had driven away the vapors of death, and rolled back the shadows of the sea. Then Yavanna arose and stood upon Ozelohar, the green mound, but it was bare now and black, and she laid her hands upon the trees, but they were dead and dark, and each branch that she touched broke and fell lifeless at her feet. Then many voices were lifted in lamentation, and it seemed to those that mourned that they had drained to the dregs the cup of woe that Melkor had filled for them. But it was not so. Yavanna spoke before the Valar, saying, "The light of the trees has passed away, and lives now only in the Silmarils of Feanor. Foresighted was he. Even for those who are mightiest under Ilúvatar, there is some work that they may accomplish once and once only. The light of the trees I brought into being, and within Ea I can do so never again. Yet had I but a little of that light, I could recall life to the trees ere their roots decay, and then our hurt should be healed, and the malice of Melkor be confounded." Then Manwë spoke and said, "Hearest thou, Feanor, son of Finwë, the words of Yavanna? Wilt thou grant what she would ask?" There was a long silence, but Feanor answered no word. Then Tulkas cried, "Speak, O Noldor, yea or nay. But who shall deny Yavanna? And did not the light of the Silmarils come from her work in the beginning?" But Aule the Maker said, "Be not hasty. We ask a greater thing than thou knowest. Let him have peace yet a while." But Feanor spoke then and cried bitterly, "For the less, even as for the greater, there is some deed that he may accomplish but once only, and in that deed his heart shall rest. It may be that I can unlock my jewels, but never again shall I make their like, and if I must break them, I shall break my heart, and I shall be slain, first of all the Eldar in Aman." "Not the first," said Mandos. But they did not understand his word, and again there was silence while Feanor brooded in the dark. It seemed to him that he was beset in a ring of enemies, and the words of Melkor returned to him, saying that the Silmarils were not safe if the Valar would possess them. "And is he not Valar as are they?" said his thought. "And does he not understand their hearts? Yea, a thief shall reveal thieves." Then he cried aloud, "This thing I will not do of free will, but if the Valar will constrain me, then shall I know indeed that Melkor is of their kindred." Then Mandos said, "Thou hast spoken." And Nienna arose and went up onto Ozelohar, and cast back her grey hood, and with her tears washed away the defilements of Ungoliant, and she sang in mourning for the bitterness of the world and the marring of Arda. But even as Nienna mourned, there came messengers from Formenos, and they were Noldor, and bore new tidings of evil. For they told how a blind darkness came northward, and in the midst walked some power for which there was no name, and the darkness issued from it. But Melkor also was there, and he came to the house of Feanor, and there he slew Finwë, king of the Noldor, before his doors, and spilled the first blood in the Blessed Realm, for Finwë alone had not fled from the horror of the dark. And they told that Melkor had broken the stronghold of Formenos and taken all the jewels of the Noldor that were hoarded in that place, and the Silmarils were gone. Oh my. Oh my, oh my, oh my. So much here to unpack, as I'd say on the PPP. But I want to look at a few things before we move on. First, I want to look at that requirement of teamwork. Yavanna, as powerful as she is, needs what Feanor has. Almost an emergency boot drive on a USB for the trees, really. But we've seen that teamwork needed before. Right? The lamps required the teamwork of at least 3 Valar, as I recall. The trees themselves were Yavanna, but also Nienna's tears. Now, the other thing I want to talk about here is Feanor's attitude. Now, I think to look at this in the right light, we have to recall something from just a couple of chapters before, where we read this. For Feanor began to love the Silmarils with a greedy love, and grudged the sight of them to all, save to his father and his 7 sons. He seldom remembered now that the light within them was not his own. Something to remember. There's a lot more to talk about, but that is going to be it for today's Silmarillion Saturday. Come back for more of the Elder Days every Saturday as we open up the pages of Middle-earth history. And if there's a first or second age story that you want to hear me read and discuss, please let me know by emailing bartleman@theprancingponypodcast.com. Now, tomorrow, be sure to listen to the new episode from the Prancing Pony Podcast. Dr. Sarah Brown joins me as we spend the next 3 episodes recovering in the Houses of Healing. You will not want to miss these episodes, folks. And plan on joining me again on Monday as we start another week of today's Tolkien Times with Mailbag Monday. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow or subscribe on your podcast apps to make sure that each episode gets downloaded to your device. And follow @Tolkien Times on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.